to the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast with your hosts Griffin Palmer, CJ Hickman, Jason Cabrera, and Ryan Mitchell.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, November 27th. This is the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast, the official podcast of thefantasyfootballfanatics.com. I'm your host, Griffin Palmer, joined by CJ the Hitman Hickman. CJ, welcome back, buddy. How you doing, man?
Hey, man, what's going on? How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, man, my Thanksgiving was awesome. Spent a lot of time with family, friends. Didn't get to see as many people who came back into town as I would have liked, but hopefully some will come back for the holidays upcoming. How about yourself?
Same there, man. It was pretty quiet on my end, but it was still fun, though. So got to spend time with some family, get some good food, and watch some decent football games. Decent.
I enjoyed the afternoon and evening games. Though the evening game was kind of slow, of course, Skins and Cowboys. But what are you gonna do? Anyway, welcome everybody. So 2-man show. So we were basically asked to let you guys know Jason will be taking kind of a hiatus from the show. He is dealing with some serious family issues right now. I don't know if prayers are in order, but I'm sure that well wishes would be appreciated. He wanted to let everyone know that he regrets having to do this. He'll be back as soon as possible with some cutting-edge content, as he basically put it. So just giving you guys a heads up what's going on with us as a show and as people. So yeah, he will be back, but probably we may not see him for the remainder of the regular season. That would be my estimate based on what we have heard. I think you agree with that, CJ, based on what we've heard? I would be
yeah, pretty much. I mean that. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
I feel like I'm about to get silly at this moment. So just keep going.
Fair enough. We'll move on. So yeah, that's what's going on with Jason. While you haven't heard his voice in probably like a month and a half, and probably not for at least another month or so, but we'll see. So yeah, keep Jason in your thoughts, to his family, and we will keep you guys updated as we learn more. So with that being said, though, let's get to why everybody's here. We have a big show for you guys today. We have a lot of news, a lot of things to get to. There's a lot of implications from week number 12. Of course, all of our top waiver wire targets, your studs and duds, the top headlines, lots of things. So let's get right to it. Make sure you guys subscribe wherever you're listening. We're a year-round show every Tuesday and Friday, bringing you all the content that you need to hopefully win your leagues and bring home your fantasy titles. Make sure you subscribe so you catch every single show. Don't miss one. And also make sure you guys rate and review. We are, as we mentioned, year-round, and one way you can really help support the show and help us keep doing what we're doing is to rate the show. Helps us out a lot more than you guys ever realize. Or if you want to go a step further and actually financially support the show, which we greatly appreciate, it helps us keep the lights on, head over to patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics, and we greatly appreciate that, and you get a lot of perks over there as well. That being said, let's move into our warm-up. Simply, CJ, any hot takes, any takeaways from Week 12 that come to mind immediately that you want to talk about before we get into the show?
I mean, a lot of good games, and just Phillip Rivers, man, my guy, Philly Rip, as they say, man. Him and these Chargers, man, they are rolling. They are rolling. They're becoming serious threats. And I'm looking forward to, this is reality I'm really talking about here. Not so much fantasy. Fantasy, he's balling. But reality is, really want to see this team in the playoffs and see what they can do. They've really got a good shot of making it this year.
Well, if the season ended today, they would be in the playoffs, I believe, if memory serves. So,
wild card spot,
I don't have the standings in front of me, but I was going to say I think that's the case. So, I agree. Pretty awesome. Saints and Falcons was fun. Saints just doing what they do. Man, I am not a fan of mobile quarterbacks, but Lamar Jackson made it at least interesting in Baltimore this week.
There you go.
Buffalo won another game, which is insane to me, especially over a preseason Super Bowl favorite with the Jaguars, and a lot of changes happened there, which we will cover. Browns took it to the Bengals. Love that. Just divisional, just craziness, and that, man. Can I just say, I'll get to this in the news, Week 12, I am soon to be 11-1 in our league of record. Week 12 sunk my season.
That's what it did?
Yeah. I mean, I'm guaranteed a playoff spot, so I might be able to rally a little bit, but yeah, my season is kind of ruined based on injuries and things that have happened in Week 12. Yeah. And we'll talk about that. And various other games that happen, and we'll get to all of that. But yeah, let's move into it. Let's talk about all of our studs and duds from Week number 12. Starting at the quarterback position, as we always do, we have Baker freaking Mayfield. Remember, this is based on a 6-point per passing touchdown league. Baker Mayfield goes out for 33.92 fantasy points, 258 yards, and 4 passing touchdowns on the Bengals. Holy crap. Hey, I just got to say, if we go back to the preseason, I was saying that this guy was preseason, the draft season. This was my top quarterback, and he's balling. He's doing all the stuff that I thought he could do. So I hate to see it in my division with the AFC North, but I'm glad to see that my evaluation has turned out to be right because he's looking good. He's looking dang good for a rookie. So Baker Mayfield, your top fantasy quarterback on the week. Deshaun Watson getting it done on Monday Night Football, 33.4 fantasy points, not too far behind him, 210 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, added 70 yards on the ground and another rushing touchdown, so that'll help. Kirk Cousins, man, I watched this game, the Packers-Vikings game, with a member of our league who is a Redskins fan, and he just could not stop complaining about the Redskins and how they just let this guy go because he looked good. 342 yards and 3 passing touchdowns, getting it done for 33.38 fantasy points. Dak Prescott seemingly resurrected with Amari Cooper in-house of all things. Who would have thought that? 31.36 fantasy points, 89 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, another 18 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown on the ground. Andrew Luck consistently in the top performers as well, 343 yards, 3 passing touchdowns for 28.62 fantasy points. And Drew Brees, 28.44 fantasy points, 171 yards was all it took. But he also added 4 touchdowns. I was looking at the wrong stat. 4 touchdowns passing on 171 yards. What? What?
Yep.
Yeah. That insanity. I thought he had a rushing one, but I was looking at the wrong stat. But yeah, holy crap. Drew Brees, just efficiency. He's doing an Aaron Rodgers type performance.
MVP year, man.
MVP year. Aaron Rodgers is struggling to be a quarterback one, and Drew Brees is doing the low yards, high touchdown efficiency that we've come to expect from Aaron Rodgers. It's just crazy. So it's like he's flipped the script in this season. I don't know. I would not have guessed it because he's always been that gunslinger, go for 5,000 yards. The touchdowns happen if they happen, but Drew Brees is just killing it. Those are your top performing quarterbacks on the week. Let's go to running backs. Christian McCaffrey.
Oh my goodness, he almost cost me a win today.
Dang.
He almost cost me.
Almost.
These next 2 guys, two guys coming up, almost cost me.
Well, Christian McCaffrey, 35.7 fantasy points. What? I mean, look, and I know we get some people who write in and say, "Oh, you doubted him." I was like, I doubted him because they signed CJ Anderson. I know what he is, and Cam Newton scares me. But hey, they are giving him the volume. 125 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, added with 112 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. That'll do it.
Love Turner.
That'll do it. Saquon Barkley. 26.2 fantasy points, 101 rushing yards and a touchdown, another 41 yards to the air and a receiving touchdown. So a little bit less on the yards, but same touchdowns. Nick Chubb. Oh, why was he on my bench? It didn't matter. I won the game. 84 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, another 44 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown for 24.8 fantasy points. The now suspended, which we'll talk about, Leonard Fournette, 95 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns for 22.8 fantasy points. Lamar Miller, Monday Night Football. This I did not expect at all. 22.7 fantasy points for Lamar Miller, who has been heating up lately, but this was a tough matchup. Monday Night Football, didn't matter. 162 yards and a rushing touchdown. What? And then
a very good Titans defense, too.
A good run defense, yeah. And then LeGarrette Blount. I mean, we knew he was a touchdown guy, but 88 yards on top of that, 2 rushing touchdowns for 22.3 fantasy points. Those were your top. And then Kenyon Drake, not to be forgotten. Not the most efficient guy I've ever seen. 32 rushing yards, got a touchdown, added 64 receiving yards and another touchdown. 21.6 fantasy points, your top performing running backs on the week. Wide receivers, we already mentioned, a resurrection seemingly in Dallas. I mean, it's probably too early to commit to that, but I mean, a great performance by Amari Cooper. Good for 30 fantasy points in standard scoring leagues, 180 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns.
Off of 8 catches.
Yes.
8 receptions. That is crazy.
To be fair, there was a really busted coverage on one of these plays, but the other one, he just juked everybody.
Redskins defense was terrible. It It was absolutely terrible. Those corners were just giving up everything, and Amari Cooper just had his way. He just had his way.
Yeah, I mean, most people will look at the stat line and be like, "Oh my God!" But if you actually watch the game, which most of you should have because it was in prime time, you saw what happened here. It was some busted coverages, some bad tackling, and to be fair, Amari Cooper created some separation. He did a good job on one of those plays that led to the long touchdown drive. Yeah, his stat line was a little bit padded there by bad defensive play. But yeah, I mean, hey, for fantasy, what do we care? 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'll take that all day, every day. Juju Smith-Schuster going out there, putting up 189 yards and 1 touchdown for 24.9 fantasy points, tying his own record for the longest play for was it NFL or just the Steelers? I don't remember. But, I mean, massive performance there. Corey Davis, Monday Night Football, 96 yards and a touchdown for 19.5 fantasy points, also rushed the ball for another 39 yards. Adam Thielen, just a monster in coverage, contested catches, 125 yards and a touchdown, 18.5 fantasy points. Tyler Lockett and David Moore, both Seattle Seahawks receivers, 16.5 and 16.3 respectively. And then Demaryius Thomas, got to remember, he's now a Texan. It still feels weird. It still feels wrong. 15.8 fantasy points, Monday Night Football, 38 yards was all it took, but 2 receiving touchdowns. Those were your top performers on the week. And then the tight end position, the dumpster fire that is tight end. Eric Ebron, guys. He has been a top performer 2 out of the last 3 weeks. On the season, Eric Ebron is the number 3 tight end. So, I think apologies are in order from some co-hosts of mine. But to be fair, I mean, he put up a goose egg last week, so I can't demand too much. But hey, here he is, the number 1 tight end on the week, 45 yards, but 2 receiving touchdowns. And man, am I excited about him going forward for reasons we'll talk about soon.
Of course.
We'll talk about it soon. Zach Ertz, your number 2 tight end on the week, 15.1 fantasy points, 91 yards and a touchdown. Vernon Davis, 73 yards and a touchdown for 13.3 fantasy points. David Njoku, 12.3 he got that on 63 yards and a touch. Jonnu Smith on Monday Night Football, 12.3 fantasy points, 63 yards and a touchdown as well. And then Rob Gronkowski, he's back, 11.6 fantasy points, 56 yards and a touchdown against that Jets defense, your top performing tight ends on the week. And now, on to the duds, the guys that let you down. These lists are eternally long, so we try and handpick out the ones that we feel like are most owned, probably most played, because we could just go on and on and on and on, obviously. We'll start at the quarterback position, where Matthew Stafford, 5.44 fantasy points. Oh, that sunk your week. Josh Rosen, 8.1 fantasy points. This was, I mean, I wouldn't have played him, but yeah, this would have been expected. Andy Dalton, 10.10 fantasy points, 10.1, I guess, technically.
Terrible injury.
Yeah, Blake Bortles, 10.98 fantasy points. Derek Carr, 11.76 against that Ravens D. And Aaron Rodgers. Man, he is struggling this season without Jordy Nelson there. 13.92 fantasy points, a rare appearance on the duds category for what was the number 1 quarterback in draft season. So, you hate to see it, but here it is. This is why I always vie for streaming. But, yeah, those were your top duds of the week at the quarterback position. Running backs. The list goes on and on. Javorius Buck Allen. I mean, he's a must drop at this point, honestly. There's just way too many running backs in Baltimore right now. 0.2 fantasy points, and the quarterback is among them. Mark Andrews. Not Mark Andrews. What I'm saying. Gus Edwards, obviously. Alex Collins. There's just way too many running backs there.
Ty Montgomery.
Ty Montgomery in the house now. Yeah. Javorius Buck Allen. He is a thing of the past. Drop him. Save yourself the headache and the roster space. Rashad Penny, 0.4 fantasy points. That's not good. Jamal Williams, 0.5. Guys, Aaron Jones is the guy you want. If you are rostering Jamal Williams, you should only really be rostering him if you have deep leagues, a long shot, deep rosters, or if you are the Aaron Jones owner and you need an insurance policy, because he has been on this dud list every single week since Aaron Jones really took off.
pretty much.
Yep. Devontae Booker, 0.6. Zach Zenner, 1.3. We're expecting bigger things of him with injuries in Detroit. Jordan Howard, 1.5. Man, what a dud he's been. DeAndre Washington, 1.7. Royce Freeman, 1.7. Elijah McGuire, 2.6. Latavius Murray, 3.3. Adrian Peterson, 4.4. LaShawn McCoy, 5.3. Isaiah Crowell, 6. Jaquiz Rogers, 6.2. Mark Ingram, 6.6. And I threw this guy on here. He technically outkicked the duds coverage, but he has had 2 bad back-to-back performances. James Conner, 7.5. Not good. I would expect better things in the future. Obviously, we know that Le'Veon Bell's not coming back, but he has had 2 bad back-to-back weeks, so excuse me. Worth noting. And those are your top duds of the week. Let's go to the wide receiver position. We have Brashad Perryman, former first-round pick. Brashad Perryman of the Baltimore Ravens, now with the Browns. Ooh. Negative
Browns now
0.6 fantasy points.
No, that'll do it for you.
Yeah, it's bad. It's not good. It's
they had a hell of a day, but maybe it's just just new guy, new face, a new place. Just got to get adjusted to the scheme and the quarterback and stuff. Maybe he'll be on the up and up. Maybe.
Or it could be that he is an absolute bust of a first-round pick, and he should not be in the league anymore.
We could go with that.
Yeah, I think we probably should. Jordy Nelson, negative 0.2 fantasy points. Shut down by that Ravens D. Marquez Valdez Scantling, a guy who was fought after with oh, man.
By you wanted him, right?
Oh, I desperately wanted him. He was putting up monster performances. And then when he officially slid in as the number 2 receiver, he has just been shut down. He's not been able to get away from coverage. Aaron Rodgers has been struggling. That offensive line is banged up. They lost their left tackle. This Packers offense, it starts with the play calling all the way down. It's been not the Packers offense that we are used to. And how much of that is Jordy Nelson? How much of that is a banged-up offensive line? How much of that is a banged-up Aaron Rodgers? Remember, he tweaked his knee at the beginning of the season. Banged-up wide receivers. There's so many problems, and it's hard to pinpoint exactly where it all is starting from. So, man, this is a guy that I have to say you can't drop, but he has been on this dud list basically every week since he became a must-add in most leagues. So it is beyond frustrating, and there's no clear answer. If you have a safer floor play out there, I encourage you to make the move. But, I mean, we know the ceiling. We know the upside. We know the opportunity that he has as a number 2 receiver in an Aaron Rodgers Green Bay Packer offense. But this offense is not the Packers offense of years past. So it is a glaring question mark, and we are getting to crunch time. We are in must-win scenarios now in our seasons, and man, this is a wild card, and it's not one that I'm comfortable starting anything above a flex position. Honestly, I don't know. Do you feel differently about this, CJ? Do you think he's a must drop? Where are you with him?
What the? I mean, it's what are we? Okay, this is week 12, right? I mean.
We're going into week 13 now, yeah.
Week 13. I mean, look, we're at a position right now that's wide receiver. I would figure unless you're in a deep league that you probably don't really need him. He's in a position where he's a number 2 receiver, and he has a great quarterback. But right now, we are talking about MVS, right?
Oh, yeah, we are, yeah.
Yeah, okay. He's in his system right now. Aaron Rodgers is really struggling with this offensive scheme right now. It's no creativity. There's no, surprise factor. Everybody knows that they just put everything on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders, and Aaron Rodgers goes out to make it happen. Right now, his offensive line is banged up. So his leeway that he normally would have with that offensive line, be able to block up and hold up a little longer, that's shortening. And you saw that on Sunday Night Football against the Vikings, man. And that's teams. This is a copycat league, so whatever teams they go against next, they're gonna have that, and they're gonna know, hey, listen, we got to get after Aaron Rodgers, and he is vulnerable. This is as vulnerable we've ever seen this man play right now, and this team play right now, because with them not being healthy. But this kid does have the opportunity, but I just think it's just too much going on right now there, where I can rely on other weapons than to try to hold on and have a glimmer of hope and thinking that, well, this guy's just connected to Aaron Rodgers. I'm just going to go ahead and plug and play and then just see what happens. I think it's too late for that.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. It is a case by case scenario. It's like we always say when we're here, guys. We give you the tools, we give you the insight, the knowledge, the behind the scenes, all the information that we can get that you guys might not be able to. We try to equip you with all the information you need to apply to your leagues with your specific formats and scoring systems. It's up to you to make the best decision for your team. This is a head scratcher because the opportunity is there, but the execution is not. So it's tough. So it's up to you guys. My recommendation is, again, if you have a deep league, deep rosters, hold him because the upside. But, I mean, if you have to make a switch, do what you got to do. Cole Beasley was next at 0.5 fantasy points. Kenny Stills, 0.6. Devontae Parker, 1. Nelson Aguilar, 1.2. Michael Gallup, I didn't expect him to play this week, honestly. I thought he was going to spend time with family. 1.9. Robbie Anderson, 2.2. Deshaun Jackson, 2.5. John Brown, 2.5. Golden Tate, 3. Jarvis Landry, 3. Kelvin Benjamin, 3.2. Allen Robinson, 3.7. Michael Thomas, shockingly, on a 4-touchdown week with Drew Brees, only 3.8. Alshon Jeffrey, 3.9. Doug Baldwin, 3.9. Chris Hogan, 4.7. Travis Benjamin, 4.7. Taylor Gabriel, 4.9. Josh Doxson, 6.6. And Antonio Brown, 6.7, your top duds of the week. And as per usual, basically, if you didn't hear a name before for the tight ends, they were a dud. Honorable mentions go to Dan Arnold for the Saints, Matt Lacoste for Denver, Jared Cook. He had really an amazing catch for a touchdown in Baltimore, that one-handed catch, which I still think he was out, but I mean, you can see the divot on the ground, but whatever, they didn't overturn it. So 32 yards and a touchdown. It was bad coverage. He deserved the touchdown, honestly. Cameron Brate, told you he was a must-add, must-play. 8.6 fantasy points. That's really about the extent of it. From that point on, you get really, really bad. So, yeah, basically every other tight end that you didn't hear us mention at this point was a dud. And that saves us some time, so let's move on to our top headlines from around the league. Let's start with a league-wide headline, and that is that the Jacksonville Jaguars have fired offensive coordinator Nathan Hackett.
Scapegoat.
Can't say I'm surprised. This offense, I mean, the argument is obviously like, oh, well, they're missing Allen Robinson, aren't they? But remember, Allen Robinson went down week 1 last season, so the question is really, what is going on here? Why is this perceived going into the season Super Bowl contending team only have 3 wins on the season? It is mind-boggling to me. And now here we are through all the bye weeks. So, yeah, I agree this is a scapegoat move. I don't know what's going to come of it. CJ, do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, I think the answer is right in front of everybody's eyes, and people say it, but people making excuses, and it's really Blake Bortles. Listen, I understand Blake Bortles a couple years ago, he had a phenomenal season for fantasy and reality, and he played last year, played great. I mean, played good. At times he played great, but right now it's like, yeah, people have a lot more film on Blake Bortles, and the thing is, Blake Bortles is either one or two things. It's never 3. It's either one or two things. He's either really consistent, really good, or he's very bad and just terrible. It's one of those things. He's never in the middle. It's either one of those two things. And right now, that inconsistency, and that not having Leonard Fournette there, and him being healthy, after these previous weeks, and now he's coming back. And now, as we get into it, we're going to get into what's going on with him now. Not having that consistent run game there is messing up the whole flow of this team. So offensively, they're not producing. A lot of their wide receivers are injured. That's going to help. That's going to hurt on the team. Defensively, their defense is being on the field majority of the game. So that's messing them up because they're tired. There's no the consistency, and there's no rhythm going on the offense. So this whole team is out of whack right now. This team normally runs through Leonard Fournette, the running game, and then Blake Bortles just don't turn the ball over. That's their formula, and they haven't been able to do it, and then that's why they're 3-8 right now.
Yep, they don't have consistent wide receiver help. The offensive line has been struggling. The offensive system has not been great. Blake Bortles has been struggling all season long. They've been without Leonard Fournette most of the year. The defense has been, honestly, underperforming to me. They've got all these elite weapons, and they're getting, like, I think they're out-schemed more than they're being outplayed half the time. I feel like people are just out of position. A lot of the broken coverages and big plays that I see happening. It's just unbelievable with the talent that they have there. So, I still can't believe this is a 3-win team right now going into Week 13. I never would have predicted that. But, yeah, the Jags, they have had a scapegoat. They have fired their offensive coordinator, and as of now, no one has been hired in his place. Hot seat rating for Doug Marrone. What would you give it? Scale of 1 to 10.
You know what? I'm gonna keep it 1 out of 5.
1 out of 10. 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. I'm gonna make it a 6. I'm gonna do a 6. I don't put the blame fully on him, but I could see management, the owners put it on him, and then make it that way. Because I'm not sure if the general manager and the owner are really in love with Blake Bortles. You know what I'm saying?
They're definitely not. Based on the contract they gave him, I don't think they are at all.
Yeah, see, I think that if that's going to tell a lot. If he goes after the season and Blake Bortles stays, okay, scapegoat. But if Blake Bortles goes and Marrone stays, okay, now management goes like, hey, listen, let's get a real shot at this. Let's start to take a shot at a rookie or in the draft, or get one of these vets like a Teddy Bridgewater or stuff like that, and bring him in and let's see what this offense can really do.
See, I give it like a solid 3. I don't think he's going anywhere, especially after what happened last season. I think that he has the benefit of the doubt on this season with all the kind of asterisks you have to put on it. And, I think that he's safe going into next season. So, but hopefully. We'll see. I could be very wrong about that. So, let's keep moving, though. Moving to the quarterback position. Cincinnati Bengals have placed quarterback Andy Dalton on injured reserve. He was listed as day-to-day with a thumb injury. They have since placed him on injured reserve. So this was unexpected. Do you think this is the Bengals throwing in the towel on this season? Because that's the way it feels.
Well, I think this is really unfortunate what happened to Andy Dalton, man. They looked like they were really fighting back with the Browns right there. Talented pieces, still striving even without AJ Green, and it's just unfortunate, man. It looked like Andy Dalton was trying to push through it, but they sitting him down. So I don't know if they're necessarily trying to tank, or just calling it in. But when your star quarterback goes down, and his profession is to throw the ball, and he doesn't have full flexibility and power in his thumb, that is gonna hurt things.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously a shocking outcome. I was not expecting this at all. I mean, he was listed as day-to-day, not even week-to-week, and then they just threw him on injury reserve. So I don't know if they found out new information that the injury was worse than they thought, or that they just accept the fact, hey, we are 5-6. We are we're way out from winning the AFC North. We're out of the wild card picture as of now. They're in the hunt. They have lost the tiebreaker to the Ravens, who are ahead of them, but I don't think they're out of it. I just don't think they're okay. So 7-3 Steelers, 6-5 Ravens, 5-6 Bengals, 4-6 Browns. They're all 7-6-5-4 are their wins. They're all within one win of the team ahead of them. Obviously, tiebreakers come into it. I don't think that anybody should be thinking that they're out of it at this point. There's still plenty of season left, and some of these guys have divisional games. So, I mean, I have to assume the injury is worse than they originally perceived. But I mean, this just. Oh, man, I didn't see it coming, and this is why I think this sinks my season, because I'm not Andy Dalton. I'm a AJ Green owner in a lot of leagues, and I was waiting for AJ Green to come back, and now
this is why you would wish that they would have kept going to AJ McCarron, and AJ McCarron, being in the scheme already, knows the system. Hey, don't skip a beat.
Well, as of now, they have Jeff Driscoll in, and they did pick up Tom Savage off the waivers. So that's the yeah. That's the quarterback situation right now in Cincinnati. So,
if you got Joe Mixon, hey, everything should still good. You shouldn't skip a beat without Joe Mixon there.
I mean, volume-wise, no, but I think defenses are going to stack the box against him if they're smart.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
It could be a problem because we have said many times that this is still not an elite offensive line. So, I don't know. We'll see. Also, going back to Jacksonville, I meant to mention this before. Jacksonville Jaguars, we hinted at it, but we didn't cover it. The Jacksonville Jaguars have demoted quarterback Blake Bortles, and backup quarterback Cody Kessler will be starting in Week 13, so that changes things as well. Another potential scapegoat outing. Let's move to the running back position, where things continue to get bad for my team. Let's stay in Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Jaguars running back Leonard Fournette has been suspended for 1 game for violations of unsportsmanlike conduct policy and unnecessary roughness. He got himself into a fight or a play he was not even a part of, and that fight continued through the tunnel, and it was a whole crazy thing, threw punches. I'm surprised there was only 1 game, honestly. Leonard Fournette is out for Week 13. I'm not surprised.
No, not surprised either. I mean, I understand what he was trying to do, sticking up for teammates and everything like that, but it got carried away real quick, and that's what happens now.
It got a little ridiculous. So we are without Leonard Fournette for yet another freaking week. Oh man, I hate so much that he was dropped on me in our league of record. All right. Los Angeles Chargers running back Melvin Gordon has reportedly a grade 2 MCL sprain. Now this does mean that there is a slight tear in his MCL. Just putting that out there. He is expected to miss multiple weeks. The expectation is, though, that he will be back before the end of the regular season. For fantasy, that's rough because the end of the regular season could literally be, hey, we're gonna put him out there to get some reps in week 17 and then go into the postseason if they're still in it. Or maybe they rush him back a little bit sooner. There's other reports saying that he was going to miss Week 13 and then his status for Week 14 was up in the air. But I have to imagine that he's going to miss at least 2 to 3 weeks. I would be honestly very, very surprised if we see him any sooner than that. I don't know. CJ, what are your thoughts on this? Because, I mean, I've heard a lot of people saying that they might bring him back for a very key game because, obviously, so he's missing Week 13 against the Steelers on the road in Pittsburgh. Then they're at home against the Bengals. And then Week 15 is kind of the one that everybody's throwing out there. Is like he might push to return him in Week 15 at Kansas City, Thursday Night Football. Could be a game that's really trying to compete for the division. I don't know, because remember, the Chargers are only 1 game back on the Chiefs right now. What are your thoughts on this, CJ? Because I have to assume that grade 2 MCL sprain, I don't think it's a matter of heart. I think it's a matter of getting healthy.
Yeah, it's just about pain tolerance and just,
it's a wobbly knee. Remember, he went through this whole week as questionable with a messed up knee. And then on a dumb play, he ends up getting a serious injury to that knee.
Yeah, man. I was watching the news on this, and listen to other analysts, listen to some players that were talking about it, telling their experience. To be honest, if I was the Chargers, I don't really see them pushing and trying to hurry him back anytime soon. I think they would probably, maybe the last couple games of the season, possibly to see where he is at, or try to save him for the playoffs. Either one. But as far as fantasy goes, and going into the playoffs and even your Super Bowl, it's really, really murky right now, especially with that injury and where this team is going right now. With those teams that are hot and they got players that are banged up, they'll pull back the reins on some of those positions to make sure they're healthy and get them right for their run as far as going to the playoffs and then pursuing and going to the Super Bowl. So this is unfortunate because he was definitely hot and he very consistent and on a very very hot and have a team that had a lot of momentum going this way.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to see him back for our fantasy playoffs, and there's a lot of speculation and belief that could happen. I think I'm going to be cautiously optimistic here and hope for the best, but expect not to see him at all. I would be surprised if we saw him, honestly. So, yeah, we will see. Let's go on to Los Angeles Rams now, other side of L.A., where Rams running back Todd Gurley reportedly should be 100% for Week 13. He dealt with ankle injuries there, but he's expected to be fine for upcoming contest. The New England Patriots have also elevated running back Rex Burkhead. He's back from the injured reserve to the active roster. Excuse me. So, that's good news. Bad if you're a Sony Michel owner, though, but what are you going to do? And then Philadelphia Eagles head coach Doug Peterson said he wants to get running back Josh Adams more involved each week going forward.
That's good.
This is not new, though. This is something we've been hearing for weeks now, weeks on weeks, and we've seen little bits of it here and there, but I don't know. CJ, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that this is something we're going to actually see take place? Because, again, this has been a narrative for like a month now, and we haven't seen like a big jump.
I mean, he's been looking better and better each and every game, and he's getting more and more touches, more and more opportunities. This past game, this past Sunday's game, he would have had a monster game. We would have probably heard his name mentioned a lot sooner on our running backs studs list if it wasn't for a penalty by his center. He had a 50-yard run he took in, but it, got called back by a center for a holding call. So, the whatever points he had, he would have had that, and that would have been a really nice game. But I mean, he's run fast, he runs physical, and just knowing what my Eagles need to do as far as getting the best out of Carson Wentz and getting the best out of this offense, they need to run the ball and be consistent and put forth effort and know that they have to make it a priority to run the ball. So doing that, getting this type of back that's getting better and better each and every game and getting them more touches, that's something that they have to keep in the forefront of their mind. So I like it. I like this pick. It's very sneaky.
Time will tell. Let's move on to the wide receiver position, where the Detroit Lions have placed Marvin Jones on injured reserve.
Sorry to hear about this. I really like Marvin Jones too.
I mean, what do we do? Kenny Golladay, I don't think can shoulder the whole offense. We've already seen that this offense has been sputtering without Golden Tate there. If I'm a Lions,
I'm thinking that we just did that to spite them, and I really want to apologize to any Detroit Lion fan that listens to the show, because I didn't think I had any beef with the Detroit Lions, to be honest. I didn't think, maybe it was from that 2 years ago Thanksgiving game when we got humiliated when Chip Kelly was there, but that was years ago. That's really petty, as the kids say right now. It's very petty to hold that grudge. It doesn't make any sense why we traded for the Golden Tate.
This is just one of those ones that, again, I don't understand. I guess they just are calling it a lost season. They're 4-7. Their chances of making the playoffs are basically non-existent. He had a knee injury, which he was being listed as day-to-day. They thought he might return for Week 13, and instead they just shelve him for the rest of the season. So I think that this is them kind of shutting down, honestly, because or maybe they found out more information, which is definitely possible, but I don't know. I just don't know how you go from day-to-day to season-ending IR. So obviously Golden Tate's gone. Kerryon Johnson banged up. They've got a plethora of running backs. Matthew Stafford struggling. This falls onto Kenny Golladay. Maybe TJ Jones is a name worth looking at the wide receiver position. I think he's going to be the starting outside receiver now. I think they've got Theo Riddick slotted in as their slot receiver, last I heard. So as opposed to running back, there's just... Oh, it is a situation in Detroit. They're down their top two receivers going into the year now. So yeah, that's rough. And if you're a Marvin Jones owner like myself in many leagues, scrambling. And let's go to the tight end position, where this is not good news for Jack Doyle, but great news for Eric Ebron owners like myself. Indianapolis Colts head coach Frank Reich has announced that the team will be placing tight end Jack Doyle on injured reserve, dealing with a kidney injury he suffered in Week 12's game. Again, a guy who was expected to be possibly day-to-day, maybe week-to-week, and they shut him down. So Eric Ebron, who has been killing it, as I predicted, expect that to increase because his main competition is now out the door for the remainder of the season. So, that'll do it for the news. Any thoughts on that, CJ?
No thoughts?
None?
Sorry for Jack Doyle, man. I really like Jack Doyle.
I really like Eric Ebron, so...
Yeah, all right, moving on.
All right. So I mean, if you gotta fill in somebody else, I mean, Eric Swoop maybe, Ryan Hewitt, but I would not be looking at any of those guys. Eric Ebron, he's owned in 100% of leagues according to NFL.com, which I feel is unlikely, but I guess it is what it is. So he's the guy who's going to be the beneficiary. I would not be investing in any of these other tight ends in Indianapolis to replace him. With that, though, let's move on to why everybody is here. Our topic of the day, our top waiver wire targets for week number 13. Let's start at the running back position, as we always do, and I am targeting Justin Jackson. Now, this is a tough predicament because there are a lot of running backs in San Diego. Oh my lord, I said San Diego. Oh, I did it. Oh man.
Come on, San Diego, get your blowtorches.
Get the pitchforks. Get the riots going, as you always say.
They keep fighting you.
Yeah, he has been very good. Austin Eckler is there as well, but Justin Jackson looked really good when Melvin Gordon did go down. He was getting a lot of workload. He was running angry, and he looked like he was running with a purpose. He played a lot and whenever he's got an opportunity, and I think he's looked pretty good. So he's the guy I would be targeting for the Rams for probably the remainder of the season. If you are I would say he's my number one. Oh my lord, the Chargers. I am just all over the place. Sorry. For the Chargers.
There you go.
Justin Jackson. Pick him up. He is probably going to be my number one waiver claim, especially if you're a Melvin Gordon owner like myself. He's a handcuff. I think he has standalone value. And we're at that point of the season where if you have a high-profile running back and they have a high-profile backup, you should be rostering their backup anyway. So he's the guy that I'm thinking that you should own, especially as a Melvin Gordon owner. So I will be going out and targeting Justin Jackson. And then another honorable mention, I have TJ Yeldon here for Week 13 with Leonard Fournette being down. Leonard Fournette, TJ Yeldon's been getting a lot of work. Carlos Hyde is there as well, so it's a little bit up in the air as to which way it's going to go, but these guys are worth rostering depending on your league. CJ, your guy.
My guy is the guy I was just talking about earlier, man. Josh Adams, man. Look, I'm really liking what Doug Peterson is saying about this kid, man, giving him more touches. I'm liking what he's putting out there on the field. And the long as he produces, man, Carson Wentz is better as well. And he's a guy that's not just going to just run the ball, but they're getting him involved in the passing game as well. So this is something I like. I like Josh Adams, man.
There you go. All right, let's move on to the wide receiver position. I am targeting. He's been on this list for a while now, but coming off bye weeks and various other. Look, this is a guy who was dropped in a number of leagues. I saw it. The Rams were on a Week 12 bye, and now Josh Reynolds is still available. I mean, because he's only owned in 24.1% of leagues. Guys, he has put up serious production. He is on 18 targets, put up 14 catches for 178 yards and 4 touchdowns over the last few weeks with Cooper Kupp going down. Josh Reynolds is a guy who needs to be owned. He needs to be rostered and honestly needs to be played as at least a flex position guy because the upside is there. The Rams offense is as legit as we expected it to be. Why is this guy not owned in more leagues? I don't know. He's owned in all of my leagues, which is very sad. But yeah, I would be targeting Josh Reynolds if I was you. CJ, your guy.
My guy is a guy, DJ Moore. Listen, I understand people go like Cam Newton. He's an inconsistent quarterback. No. He's been getting the ball to the right people. Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Greg Olsen. But DJ Moore has been getting more opportunities than David Funchess. And that's good because that's the guy that's the senior there. David Funchess has seniority, but now DJ Moore is the one that's getting those opportunities, getting those touches, and he is a great run after a catch receiver, and that's what Cam likes, man. So look, DJ Moore is the play for you. If you're hurting a wide receiver and you need some help, the DJ Moore is your guy.
There you go. All right, and at the tight end position, I am targeting Jonnu Smith. Look,
very good.
He kind of let you down in week 11, 44 yards, no touchdown. But in the last 4 weeks since the bye, 3 of those 4 weeks he's been good for at least 33 yards and a touchdown. So 9.3, 10.5, 4.4, which was the letdown, then 12.3. That is consistency. It's not a high floor with the yardage, but the touchdown upside and the matchups against the Jets, obviously they have not been elite. The Jaguars, we've been talking about how they've been beatable. That's divisional. They can go crazy. Giants, Skins, those are the remaining matchups. I like Jonnu Smith as a nice plug-and-play option at the tight end position for the remainder of the season. He is a guy that I would definitely be targeting, and for some inexplicable reason, I've been telling you guys to pick this guy up for weeks now. He's only owned in 3.7% of leagues. Guys, he's been a top performer 3 of the last 4 weeks. Go get Jonnu Smith. He's widely available. CJ, take us home.
I'm taking you home with Nick Bennett. I think that's how to spell his last name, or pronounce his last name. Sorry.
Bennett?
Bennett. The Seahawks tight end. Now listen, Ed Dickerson's out there, man, but Ed Dickerson. He's not being consistent out there, man. Russell Wilson, he wants to throw the ball to the tight end, and this is the guy that's been getting the looks in the red zone, and that's what we want. We know those Seahawks are going to get dropped down in the field. When they get to the red zone, your boy Russell Wilson looks to his tight ends, man. So look, I think that's a nice little sneaky play there, especially if you're looking for somebody to replace Jeff Driscoll, the tight end from Denver. Him going down, Jack Doyle, another guy, man, and then OJ Howard as well. I'll throw a bonus out there. CJ, not CJ, but tight end for the Tampa Bay.
Cameron Brate?
Cameron
that was
Brate.
Going to be my bonus, yeah.
Yeah, give you Cameron Brate as a bonus one as well.
I mean, Cameron Brate is still only owned in 31.9% of leagues. Yeah, he should absolutely be played. Well, as I've said for the last couple episodes, his rapport with Jameis Winston is noted over the last seasons. And O.J. Howard's gone, so it's just Cameron Brate there. And we saw it this week. He was good for a touchdown, 8.6 fantasy points. So there you go. And, so a bunch of names that we're throwing out there, a bunch of bonuses, which is, I think, understandable as we're moving into the most important stretch of the season, that home run stretch. Every win now is super, super important because we're getting to that point where you're fighting for playoff standings. Most leagues, you only have 2 weeks left before the week 15-16 playoff run. So win now. That's the mentality. Unless you're like me, I can lose to and still, I think, be the number 1 seed in our league of record. I don't know. I have to check. But yeah, I'm already in the playoffs. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Make sure you guys tune in on Friday when we will be back talking about our top starts and sits candidates for week 13. Guys, make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening. We are a year-round show every Tuesday, Friday. Don't want to miss an episode. We're here to help you with all the information you need. Get your questions into us as well. We answer all of the questions that we get, at least as many as we can get to, on Twitter at the FF Fanatics. You can also find us individually. I'm at GPalmerFFF. CJ's at CJ Hickman89. And if you want to send well wishes to Jason Cabrera or send him questions, he might respond. I don't know. He is at Jason Cabrera 13. So support the show at patreon.com. Rate, review the show. CJ, any parting thoughts?
Hey, man, Jason, man, praying for you and your family, buddy. Get back, amigo.
Same. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great week. We'll see you on Friday. Bye, guys.
Life in the fast lane, moving at the speed of life, and I can't slow down. Only got a gallon in the gas tank, but I'm almost at the finish line, so I can't stop now. I don't really know where I'm headed, just enjoying the ride. Just gonna roll till I drop and ride till I die.